Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Learn How to Maximize the Impact of Life Science Reps and Resources at Your Practice, presented by Dan Gilman, the co-founder and CEO of RxVantage. Please be aware that there will be a question and answer portion today at the end of the webinar. To avoid frequent interruptions during the webinar, please type your questions in the question box located on the right of your screen. They will be answered in the order received during the question and answer portion. Additionally, an electronic version of this presentation will be emailed to all participants following the completion of today's webinar, and a recorded version will be available on the website for members only. Again, we would like to thank you for attending, and I will now turn things over to you, Dan.
Thanks, Brea. And I'd like to start by thanking the CAM-GMA for inviting us today, and thank everybody on the phone for taking the time. We work with thousands of practices and people in your position, and we know the last thing you have is a few minutes to spend with us today, so we do appreciate you taking that time out of your day. I don't get to do a lot of these webinars these days. As Brea said, I'm one of the founders. I've been here for 10 years, so I'm really excited to be here with you today, and I will do my best not to bore you to sleep. If, as Brea said, if you can add questions or comments or jokes or anything you want to put in the comments on the webinar software, we'll get to them throughout the webinar or at the end, and it'll make it much more interesting. So with that said, we can dive into today's subject, which is how to maximize the impact of life science reps and the resources that they can bring to bear for your practice and for your patients, and save quite a bit of time while doing so. So what are we going to cover today? First, we'll talk about how to define a rep policy that works for your practice. And the your is underlined because it's really important. Again, we've worked with thousands of practices to solve this problem and optimize it for them. And every single one of them is different. There's a lot of common themes, but you know, it's a different group of docs, a different group of staff, and the things that are important to you are going to vary. So the most important thing is to have a custom policy that works for you, and we can certainly help you with that. Second is how to receive education from life sciences reps without disrupting your workflow. Obviously, there's a lot of priorities. Patients, doctors, staff, reps come somewhere at the bottom or close to the bottom, but they do have a lot of valuable education. So these companies are obviously developing amazing technologies that help to improve the quality and the length of the lives of your patients. So, and these reps are highly trained at delivering that education to your doctors and staff, but it can be difficult for them to, or impossible for your rep community to sort of manage themselves in a way that's effective for you. So we can help you develop policies that will help keep them into the workflow that works for you and minimizes interruptions. And then lastly, how do you use a platform like RxVantage or something similar to define and automatically enforce your rep visitation policy? And more importantly, to help you surface and understand which reps have relevant information for your practice at a moment in time. And that can be really difficult to do, right? Even if you have a very good policy in place and you're willing to spend a lot of staff time to do it, it can still be tough to know who has good information and new information at a particular point in time, and RxVantage can help you do that. So the problem, as we're all aware, is medical practices and life sciences companies, pharmaceutical, biotech, and others can be pretty slow at adopting new technology. And while everybody involved has made great strides over the last several years, we know that there are still some things in use or that are phasing out that are not very efficient. So I'm sure most of you don't use paper files anymore or dot matrix printers. There's some pagers hanging around for sure, but a huge percentage of practices still use a pen and paper calendar to try to coordinate their visits with their life sciences reps. And that's one of the sources of this inefficiency. It's sort of something that's always been done that way, never really been examined potentially, but it is hugely inefficient. It's hard to even read a lot of these calendars. Never mind find the right business card with the right product written on it for the rep that you need to find right now. So it's a hugely inefficient system where we're still sort of stuck in the old way, while a lot of these other processes or ancient ancient things have been replaced. So what ends up happening is we see that in a GRG study of 2,000 physicians, 74% of providers actually wanted to see more reps because they're interested in things like product alerts, peer opinion, clinical guidance, formulary info, reimbursement is a big one. Obviously, that can impact the practice and the patient in a huge way. So these companies are offering reps that have this specialized information right at their fingertips, and they can deliver it in a concise way. But the problem is 54% of practices are restricting access for reps and medical science liaisons because there's a burden of managing reps. It can be disruptive to patient flow. The meetings are perceived as low value because, again, there's not a good way to necessarily know who is going to be a highly educated, highly rated rep with relevant information to your practice right now. Again, redundant information or irrelevant information. And this leads to this unintended education or knowledge gap. So again, these reps and these companies are developing this amazing technology, and you guys use it every day. You know what it is, but if there's no communication because it just doesn't fit in your workflow, then you can end up with this knowledge gap, and of course that can impact patient care. Slides will advance. Brea, is that moving for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't moving on my screen. So anyway, so why is this happening? Again, we're back to this. We're living in this world where you can summon a car, soon to be self-driving car, in minutes from your phone. You can get anything delivered in a couple hours, and you can stream any content you want from anywhere. But again, this paper calendar and this manual process. More importantly, there's staff time behind this paper calendar. So this manual process of scheduling with your reps just hasn't changed, and just trying to track down the right ones when you need them also hasn't changed. I'm sure you've all, if you're involved with the reps in your office, have tried to find a rep when a doctor needs one, and you have 10 business cards from that particular product or company, and it's sort of dial for dollars to try to find the one who's actually your rep at this moment in time, and try to track them down and get them to come in. So we can talk about why managing reps with paper calendars is bad, right? So like I just said, it's still a person's job to manage the reps. So it's often somebody at the front desk, at the window where patients check in. So there might be a patient in line and then a rep and then a patient. And so this rep is trying to flip through the calendar with your staff to try to find the next appointment that works for them. Again, not in really any scientific way, just there's a spot on the calendar, so put your name here. Not really enforcing any rules necessarily. So, but it is a person's job, and it can take a significant amount of time to simply manage the reps at the window or on the phone. They're also trying to maintain, or not maintaining, an updated directory of business cards, which I touched on briefly, but they might have a shoebox that might be a little more organized in a binder, but in most cases we've seen they tend to be out of date and not really maintained. So when you do need to go to that business card or that Rolodex, it's difficult to track down the right person. So it also requires a non-clinical employee, if that's the person who you have managing the reps, to try to make a decision about what's useful, what should be seen, and that might just be a bit out of their sort of job description or capabilities. So again, it can end up being random. They can end up being back-to-back or redundant information. There's just not a lot of organization around it. And if you are using a clinical person, then you're asking somebody who's obviously qualified, but also very busy and highly paid, to try to review this information and figure out which rep should come in, and that's not ideal either. So certainly an automated system is better for that. And again, this person who's handling this calendar can't know every other appointment that rep or their teammates or that product has on the calendar and try to spread them out accordingly so that there might be new information each time. So it's just nearly impossible to enforce these policies that you may have in place, but just don't get applied, and then eventually, as they don't get applied, it can lead to the whole system sort of breaking down because the docs, again, they see this redundant information because it's not maintained on the front end, and they think that it can be a waste of their time when in fact there is somebody that could have been in that particular appointment that had something new if all of these dots could be connected. So we believe that life sciences companies and the reps, representative is the long term, right? They represent those companies and those products. They possess extremely valuable information for your practice and your patients, your staff and your docs. There just needs to be a better way to handle it, right? And again, people don't necessarily think about this because it's been done this way for so long. But there are thousands of practices out there who are doing it in a better way. And from our time working with them, we've facilitated over 5 million interactions between these practices and these life science representatives, and we've learned a ton from that time and from that experience. And we can tell you a couple of key lessons that we've learned there. So one, back to this theme, so no two practices are alike. You may, obviously there's specialties, there's the size of the practice, there's the number of people. Do you have a lot of mid-levels or do you not? Are you a single location? Are you trying to manage docs that move across different locations? There are sort of endless iterations of practices that you guys are all no doubt aware of, but you need to customize the policy to make sure that it fits your particular practice. And we've broken it down to 8 elements. I'm sure there's more, and we'd be happy to discuss them with you, but these are the key ones as we see them. So first is there's many different types of reps. We use reps and life science as an umbrella term. Life science can, again, be pharma, biotech, med device, disposables, durables, labs, radiology. Some of you are probably part of practices that have your own reps, and you send them out to educate other practices and docs in the area about the services, or maybe you're a specialist and the services that you offer. So all of those people end up trying to get into the practice, and you just need to decide which types are relevant to you and which ones you want to meet, and also understand which rep qualifies as which type. So, and then second, when and where do you want to meet? So do your docs prefer in-office meetings? Do they prefer speaker programs that are out of the office? Do they want to bring a speaker into the office? So there's just a lot of different things. Do you want to offer quick meetings that have no meal or transfer of value, but have a rep show up when and where they're expected, and that's been approved by you to schedule? Or do you want to offer larger in-services where the whole staff and all your doctors are invited? So there's a lot of different iterations on that as well. And then number 3, why you're meeting with reps, right? In most cases, it's because of the education, but it may be clinical, it may be reimbursement, it may be only for new information. So there's a lot of trying to figure out why you're actually doing that, and defining that before you set your policy is really important. And there's probably going to be a lot of different opinions within the practice. How frequently do you want to meet with reps? That's a pretty simple one, but do you want an individual rep to book once a month, once a quarter, only when there's new information, once a year? Those are the types of rules that, again, you may have already defined them, but it might be difficult for somebody to enforce it manually. And if not difficult, it's certainly taking a lot of staff time. Requirements for the meetings. Do you want to have an agenda? Do you want to know what they're going to discuss? If they carry a bunch of products, do you want to know which one they're going to discuss in advance? What do you need to know from them in advance to make sure that they're abiding by your rules, and also to potentially make sure that people in your practice know what's going to happen, and do they want to take the time out of their day to go down to that meeting or not? If you do offer if you do offer a meeting type that has a meal, do you want to specify specific caterers or preferences or allergies or other things that reps need to know? And can you get that information to them in a way that's not doesn't involve them, a lot of phone calls and emails or again FaceTime at the window, going back and forth for each appointment. Number 7 is the code of conduct in your practice. Obviously, again, this is probably pretty straightforward, but don't whether it's you have to tell them don't chase the doctor down the hall, don't leave the meeting area, or things like park on the top level of the garage so that the patients can have the closest parking. There's a lot of different potential variables there. And then finally, transfer of value tracking. So the Sunshine Act, I'm sure everybody's aware of, but if that's important to you, do you want to have a mechanism to track that for yourself? Do you want to have a limit on the amount per person that can be spent? Do you want to be able to convey the number of people to them in advance so they know how many they're ordering for and how not to exceed any limits that you might have on budgeting or transfer of value? And then the second thing we've learned from all of those facilitated interactions is that we must minimize workflow disruption if we're going to maximize the quality of the education that these reps can deliver around their technology. And in terms of minimizing the workflow disruption, an online calendar is clearly better than a waiting room walk-in or phone call. So being able to publish a calendar that is governed by rules that you set for reps to self-schedule, so they're only going to be scheduling if they're approved and if they're within your quotas and criteria, then obviously that's better than having staff handling phone calls or talking to reps at the window. Requiring reps to confirm online to avoid last-second cancellations and no-shows. This is something that we've seen over and over again in the pen and paper system. When people switch over to an automated system, the pen and paper system is just plagued with last second cancellations if they're lucky, or a no-show. Perhaps that rep is no longer a rep, but they booked 6 months ago or a year ago, and just there was no time to interrupt your staff's day to track that down. And obviously, if you're doing a good job of avoiding last second cancellations and no-shows, then again, that's staff using their valuable time that could be focused on patients on trying to coordinate reps. So just simply requiring them to confirm online, so you know who they are, that they've taken an action, and they're going to show up. That is a simple way to solve that problem. Having a place to quickly find and contact your rep. So again, those business cards are not searchable, they're not organized, they're not up to date. But once you have all of your reps in one centralized place on a platform, you can then search for them by their product, by their company, or if you happen to know their name or their rep type, you can search for them that way as well. So you can find the rep that covers the product that you need information about right now for your particular practice. So it's really narrowed in and localized to you and always up to date. And then another thing that can take staff time, even if everything goes flawlessly in the booking process and in the rep's going to show up, you still have to disseminate that information to all of your staff. So that's the flip side of all of this, is making sure that everybody knows, hey, there's an in-service tomorrow at noon, here's where it is, and here's who's coming. So instead of having to do that, an automated system can easily inform your staff what's happening, what the topic is, what's going on, and take another task away from the person who's handling these rep appointments and these rep interactions. And then lastly, like any platform, ensure that these tools are available on both a desktop and a mobile device, and basically convenient to wherever the person who's responsible or the people who need this information are most comfortable and active during their day. So RxVantage seamlessly connects your practices to the precise life science experts and resources when you need when you need them. So that's our um, that's what we do, right? Again, it's surfacing who's got relevant information, who's important, who is approved by you, and how can we get them in the office when that information is timely and relevant to you in place of something that might be repetitive or redundant messaging, and make sure that those right reps are in there. So really quick by the numbers, again, we've facilitated over 5 million interactions, 1 million hours saved annually by practices. 9 out of 10 of our customers would recommend us to a colleague. That's our, we have a large network, but we're still a small company, and we live on references and referrals, and we have sort of as many references or case studies or that as somebody could have time to review. Everybody who starts using RxVantage in lieu of the manual system just thinks it's great, but you don't have to listen to me because we can provide you with peers that you can talk to. 50,000 plus registered reps. So we're partnering with all of, pretty much every company out there has reps on RxVantage, but we're specifically partnered with a lot of the, the pharma companies, mid-size, smaller companies, and also some of the largest companies out there. So they're all embracing it as a way, they see it as a way for them to be concerned and operate within the rules of engagement that are important to you, as opposed to the old way where it used to be they just threw reps at you and hoped you would see them all. So they're looking to be more of a value add and fit into your workflow and see you when you want to see them or need information from them as well. So they're working with us in that regard. 10,000 plus healthcare providers across all 50 states, and again, all the life science companies use RxVantage because when a practice joins, they invite all their reps, and if their reps want to book an appointment, they sign in and they have their account. So again, there's a quote here from Nikki. I won't read it, but we can send you as many as you could need if you are interested. And I won't also, because you guys will have access to these slides, go through these logos, but a lot of familiar logos. We work across specialties. It doesn't matter, although as I said, we know every practice is unique. If you have this particular problem, the system is designed to be able to solve it for you and the way that works best for you. So a quick product tour. We divide things up into 3 buckets. So we have the connect features. So find, connect, and communicate with over 50,000 reps, medical science liaisons. Again, we say reps, but there's MSLs, reimbursement specialists, actual, typical reps, nurse educators. There's anybody that you could want to find on there is on there. And as we work more closely with our pharma partners, they want to put their call centers on there. So if you don't have a specific rep at this time, you can call right in. They want to connect you more directly or connect your providers more directly with the MSLs or the MDs that they have employed for them that they can review cases. So just trying to bring everything together that you currently might be going out to many different brand websites or 10 clicks deep on Google to try to find. We're working on aggregating all of that together into one place. So you can I know I can go to RxVantage and find all sorts of different resources. Meet, obviously, the calendar is automated, in-site, off-site, depending on what you guys need. And again, at the core of it is according to your practice's rep visitation policy. So meet with them, but meet with them when it fits for you. Meet with them when they have new information and relevant information for you. And not the other way around as it's sort of been in the past with that sort of crushing press of reps that are just sort of everywhere and anywhere. Now you'll be able to do it in an organized way and more effectively surface what's new and what you should be meeting about. And then Assist. So we also have a company called RX Assist, which has been aggregating patient assistance programs online for the past 20 years, and you have a searchable database of all your patient assistance programs in one place that the people at RX Assist keep up to date so that when you are searching for them, you can find the right forms, the right information, and again, not fill out a form that might be dated and then get it rejected because it was one version old. And as we bring more information in from the companies, again, it's reimbursement, it's copay cards, it's what's available out there to help my patients better afford their medication, or at least make sure when we're doing reimbursement stuff, we're doing it properly so we're not impacting the practice or the patient negatively. So quick view of the rep section here. So when you want to connect, again, we use this big number, over 50,000 reps. That's nationwide. Your particular database would be localized only to you. So the reps that cover your practice, search by product, company, company name, rep name. You could view the detailed profiles and the contact info for that particular rep, and you can actually also message the reps. You can keep notes about the reps. You can see when their past and future appointments are going to be, and you can even set a custom rule at the rep level, if you would like. You can set global rules, but if you want to get down into the details, you can set a specific rule for Melissa here that is either more or less than your general rule, or you can add her as a favorite, or even block a particular rep if somebody does something that you don't approve of or violates your policies. Instead of just sort of shutting down as a reflexive action, you can block that particular rep and not allow them to book again with you. And then there's a messaging section. So if you want to message with your reps, you don't have to reveal your email, and you can keep it all your rep messaging in one single place. And then as we get into Meet, this is the calendar. So it's similar to OpenTable, but you guys have created this calendar. You've created your custom rules, your policies, and now all of that is baked in. You can allow your reps to self-schedule, and you can confidently know that only the reps that you have approved will be able to book only as often as you've approved them to book, and they will confirm all of their appointments. If they don't confirm, they'll be removed from the calendar. So a rep that does meet your criteria and does have something new and interesting to talk to you about will be able to book. And obviously that also minimizes no-shows and last-second cancellations, if not eliminates them. But it's very automated, very customizable, and certainly saves a ton of time. This is actually we're in a beta right now with one of the largest oncology groups in the country, who had asked us to help them coordinate these evening speaker programs that they're doing with a key opinion leader. So we're also bringing all of these invitations into one place. So if your doctors are interested in receiving education that way, they'll be able to receive invitations and browse local events and RSVP right through RxVantage. So again, aggregating that content together all in one place. This is a quick snapshot of your rules. You can set, again, any custom rule that works for you, and you can set approval. And then the last thing is the assist portion of it. So again, searching patient assistance programs, it'll bring up coupons, copay cards where applicable, and this section again is just aggregating all the patient assistance, all the savings information from all the brands, all the companies in one place, and making it super simple. And this is probably a different staff member than the person who typically handles the rep calendar or the rep appointments, but it's super simple to add people in and add the functionality that they need. So if this is a different person, you just give them access to this, and they can more effectively help more people apply for these patient assistance programs, because the faster they can do it, the more they can help, right? So this is just a few other screenshots of this. And then the important thing as we move into the conclusion here is you're in complete control of RxVantage. Whoever you assign it to in your practice is in complete control. So it's automated. You set the rules. You control the access and permissions. There's no software to install because it's a platform. It's a software as a service. So all you need is a browser. You can invite your whole staff if you choose. You don't have to, but if you want to give everybody access to certain tools, or at least access to get alerts that, hey, you have a appointment tomorrow with the Pfizer rep with this product, and here's what they're going to discuss, you can do that. the intelligent rules engine, again, customizable for exactly what you need and what fits your policy. Any device, because again, it's just a browser. It works well and is really elegant and a useful design on whether it's a phone, a tablet, or a computer. And then you can get reports about how are your reps, how are you interacting with reps? Is there any company or brand that happens to have um, be taking up a larger amount of your time? And if so, how do you want to deal with that? Is it something that you're okay with, or do you want to make sure that everything's a little bit more fair so you can get reports and see outliers like that and tweak your policy and your rules based on the reports that we can send you? And then one of the things that we hear the most from our customers is that the support is really outstanding. So you're going to get somebody on the phone when you call, and you're going to talk to a real person. And we have a whole onboarding process and a whole onboarding team that keeps it to a couple minutes of your time if you're interested in using RxVantage or automating this process. Literally just a few minutes, and you could be up and running. And I know you hear the word software, and that's hard to believe, but again, you don't have to listen to me to understand why 15 minutes can save you hundreds of hours, but you can listen to our many happy customers who are willing to go on the record. Again, this is just a smattering of them, and we can provide a lot of them or most of them are willing to talk to the extent that you have time to discuss it with them. They're happy to talk to you. They come up to us at conferences when we're there, just to thank us for the sort of hassle that we've taken away from them, the time and energy that we save them, again, while allowing them to still get the education that these reps are able to deliver. I'll leave this up for a second in case anybody's reading it. And then just a quick slide on how to join. You'll get this link in the follow-up as well. Just a few minutes of it'll walk you through really simply a really simple form of questions that are important to you. And again, our customer service and onboarding team will set everything up, and then they will walk you through any final setup before it's launched. And obviously, you'll give the go ahead to launch if once you see everything and you're happy with it. And it will only have taken you a couple of minutes, and you'll be relieved of the burden and the wasted time of having to manage this community of reps, but you'll still be able to get all of the benefits that they provide and the reasons that you've been seeing them for so many years as it was. And that's it. So thank you. If you guys have any questions, I haven't looked at the questions down here.
All right. Thank you, Dan. I'm now going to read the questions from the question box. If anyone has any additional questions, please type them in the box now. I'll start with the first question. What does the process of signing up for a lunch look like? Do you have procedures in place?
Yeah, so what it looks like is once you've set your rules, and if a type of appointment that you want to do is lunch, you will make those available on your calendar, or the system will do it for you automatically. And the rules that you set in terms of, can a rep book once a month? Does a rep have to be approved? Does a rep need new information to be able to book that appointment? All of that will be enforced automatically by the system. So the process for you is, once it's set up, you don't have to do anything. You'll just get a notification that a rep has booked if you have those alerts turned on, and you'll get a notification that a rep has confirmed and that they have an appointment tomorrow, and here's the information about that lunch. So you could literally just set it up, and to steal a tagline, you could set it and forget it. And the right rep will show up at the right time according to the rules that you have established and set up in your policy and in your RxVantage account.
The next question is, to be clear, there is no cost to sign up for the program. How are you compensated for the platform?
That's a good question. So yeah, there's no cost, there's no option for practices to pay. On the rep side, it is also free. They can use it for free forever if they so choose. But we also have a premium version of the product that gives them some more bells and whistles. So they are never required to enter a credit card. They actually get 45 days of premium to try for free when they start. And then at the end of that, if they decide, hey, I do like the premium, at that point they can put in their card, or if they're part of the many companies that provide premium to their reps automatically, then they don't have to worry about it at all, and they get it without thinking twice about it. But if they are happy as an individual and they want to use premium, then they can subscribe at that point. But we do not want to be the company that asks you to put it, not you, but a rep to put in their credit card at the beginning and then hopes that they forget. They're not required to do that. And the difference between the free version and the premium version, the main ones, they get access to a native mobile app if they're premium, which they have to use just the browser version if they're using the free version. The system will actually alert them about opportunities that it knows that they're interested in, so it's a bit smarter for the premium reps. It'll say, hey, over here, this lunch just became available. We know you're qualified for it and able to book it according to the office rules, and we also know you're interested in it, so we thought we'd let you know, whereas the free reps do not get that information. But really important to note is that the access or the rules that you set, if you say one per month and you approve somebody, whether they're free or premium, they can still only book one per month. Nobody and no company and no individual and no premium rep has more rights or can buy their way around the rules that you set. It's all the same, whether light or premium. It's just a matter of the app and the alerts. They also get team functionality, so they can click a button and invite their teammates to join their network on RxVantage, and they can then view the appointments that their teammates have, and they can transfer appointments and things like that. So more functionality to share and view appointments in that way. So bells and whistles, but no obligation for reps to ever pay or enter a credit card.
Okay, there doesn't seem to be any further questions. I guess we'll give a couple more seconds. If anyone has some last-minute questions you'd like to submit, please submit them now. How many clients do you have in California?
Thousands on the rep side and hundreds, if not, I'll say hundreds, but I can get you an exact number. But many clients in California. But I'll say hundreds of practices and thousands of reps to be sure. But we'll get you the exact number.
Okay, well, if we have no further questions for the day, then we can wrap this up. Once again, the presentation slides will be emailed to all participants and will be available on our website for members only. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to the presenter directly. Thank you, everybody, for attending, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.